Science has revealed at last what happened in the distant past, back in the beginning of time. But from what the cosmos came, back before the great Big Bang, it's finding more hard to describe. Could be anybody's guess. So is it crazy to suggest, what if love, what if love, what if love is all it was? What if love, what if love, what if love is all it was? What if that love still sings, is still alive in everything, moving through the whole universe, rising in the light and dark, hiding in the smallest part, burning like a flame that always burns, like the atoms, like the air, invisible but everywhere. What if love, what if love, what if love is all it was? What if love, what if love, what if love is all it was? What if love were the organizing force by which the beauty of the world emerged, that joined the particles into molecules and living cells and redwood trees and bees and birds? And what if to act on love's behalf, to practice kindness, is the most natural thing of all? Then when we feel undone, we're sick because we've been spun around on the wheel of despair. We could just breathe it in, reach for that source again, reach out to what's already there. Mystery from whence we came, just for a song, let's give it a name. What if love, what if love, what if love is all it was? What if love, what if love, what if love is all it was? What if love, what if love, what if love, what if love, what if love is all it was? What if love, what if love, what if love, what if love, what if love is all it was?
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of light, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
Good morning. Welcome to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church of Shreveport online. We are here with you this morning live, if you're with us live, 11 o'clock on Sunday, and we try to do these things live instead of recorded so that we are actually spiritually together at the same time as best we can be in our virtual gatherings. That said, there are things that appear in the chat as we go along, like for announcements, and you are welcome to comment as we go along on the Facebook feed. The people that are actually participating are together on a Zoom call, and so we can't see all of you, but you can see all of us. And this church is built on covenant rather than creed. We don't have a profession of faith that says how we believe. We are together in our promise to one another and to our greater movement on how we will be in this world and how we will be with one another. To that end, whoever you are, whatever your age, race, origin, orientation, background, status, ability, identity, if you care to be here with us in respectful community, you are always welcome. And we look forward to getting to know more of you when we actually get to return to meeting in public. I mean, in physical spaces together. We join together in a spirit of worship, and we use that in the Old English roots of the word to contemplate and elevate matters of worth. You will hear about our guest speaker this morning, and the things that she will be sharing with us are absolutely matters of worth, as our movement is inclined to understand them. We have with us this morning people that want to share information with you, so I'm going to invite our one of our board of directors, Steve Nixick, to share with you. Steve, did you have some announcements?
I do. Can everybody see me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good morning. I just want to do some brief announcements. Let's see. For the giveaway the plate this month, we are giving away to Volunteers for Youth Justice, also known as VYJ. This is an organization that helps a lot of youth who are either they either try to prevent them from getting into situations with criminal justice, or to help ones that are already in the system of criminal justice to help them break out of it. So it's a worthwhile cause, and we will be doing giveaway the plate for them. So you have a couple of ways to donate. Check the chat for the links. Of course, and anything you give to the collection plate will go, and you could also mail a check-in as well, and just make sure that you indicate in your memo line on your check, if you're doing it that way, that it's going to go to VYJ, and we'll make sure that that does happen. Okay, also tomorrow, Monday, April 12th at 6 p.m. is the People's Assembly for the 2021 legislative session for our state. So we're going to have 500 citizens from across the state. They're going to preview and prepare for the upcoming session. So ALSOS has pledged to have at least 20 people to be involved in this, and which is a lot more than we had last year, and we're hoping to get a lot more participation, because we do believe that this is a congregation that does have a lot to say and definitely wants to be involved. So, but what you have to do is you will need to register. You go to the site, and we should have that link in the chat as well, togetherla.org/April 12th. You have to go there and register, and then from there you'll just be getting on the Zoom call tomorrow night at 6. So, and after the announcements, we'll have Susan will talk a little bit more about this, because she's actually participated in the People's Assembly previously, so she can share some experiences there. Also, help is needed for immigrants released from detention. ALSOS has been taking part in helping to transport, feed, and shelter a large number of immigrants who are being released from detention centers around the state. So then people are kind of in holding patterns and waiting for asylum, waiting to be joined back with their families. So look on the Facebook page for the ALSOS Caring Connection for some information on this. Also, if you would like to contribute, you can do so by going to, clear that up real quick, the Louisiana, and I lost it. The Louisiana Advocates for Immigrants in Detention. There's a number of ways you can make contributions there. Other than that, we do have our our regular weekly things going on, our meditation with Larry Angelos on Saturday mornings at 10:30 a.m. via Zoom. We have our weekly lunch meetings that we've been doing regularly on Wednesdays. We do have our adult religious education, usually at 9 a.m. Prior to the service here on Sundays. And sometimes we even have the Monday night Zoom, if I'm not mistaken, with Barbara. So there is a lot going on, and we would like you all to please participate, be involved, and engage. With that, I will hand it on to Susan.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, Reverend Barbara. I always love my transitional sounds. I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for being with us. I want to say special thanks this morning to Candice Battiste, who will be our guest speaker, and we will hear from her very soon and hear a little more about her. But I'm so grateful that she is here. Candice, if you just want to say hello real quick right now, and just we can just welcome you.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Family religious education will be today at the regular time at 1 p.m. And we are also going to try again this week, Tuesday night at 7 to get the high school religious education together. And that has sometimes been, we have some very active high schoolers, and that has sometimes been hard to schedule, but we're going to aim for Tuesday night at 7 and see what happens. Let's see what else. Oh, I wanted to amplify, as Steve was telling you, about the People's Assembly for the 2021 legislative session. The session does start on Monday. You know, Molly Ivins used to say no one was safe when the Texas legislature was in session. I think that's probably true for Louisiana too. There are some bills that we do want to watch and oppose. There are also some bills we will want to support, and you'll be able to hear about a number of those on Monday night at the People's Assembly of Together Louisiana. I think that may be all I have. We do hope you'll join us on Monday night. The registration link should be in the chat. And I believe that's all I have. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure why I keep getting muted, but something is doing an automatic mute on me that shouldn't be. Anyway, I want to say about the legislative accountability project that we will be hearing about Monday night in the gathering for Northern and Central Louisiana Interfaith and Together Louisiana. The work that we're talking about isn't necessarily the fun work, but it is the work that makes a difference. It's the grunt work and the paying attention that has to be done if we want to stop things that are just flat unjust, that happen through legal processes unless we're paying attention. And so please give from your heart the time it takes to do this work. Attend, find out what's going on, and invest yourself as much as you can. That's the way that we make a difference. I want to invite you now to let your shoulders fall away from your ears and take a couple of deep breaths as we move into a spirit of worship. And we try to feel the presence of one another even across this distance. Send your love to the people you miss. Send your curiosity for the people you haven't met yet that are a part of this congregation. And let us, like I said, enter a spirit of worship.
We are called to worship this morning by the words of Ta-Nehisi Coates, who said, "We invoke the words of Jefferson and Lincoln because they say something about our legacy and our traditions. We do this because we recognize our links to the past, at least when they flatter us. But Black history does not flatter American democracy. It chastens it. The popular mocking of reparations as a harebrained scheme authored by wild-eyed lefties and intellectually unserious Black nationalists is fear masquerading as laughter. For Americans, the hardest part of paying reparations would not be the outlay of money. It would be acknowledging that their most cherished myth was not real. Or as Trevor Noah has said, it's funny how when it comes to reparations for slavery, people say, get over it, that's history. But when you take down a Confederate statue, they say, how dare you, that's history. With that, we will hear from our children's chalice lighting with Aubrey and Natalie Nixick. And thank you all for being with us this morning.
We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart.
These words come from our own Miss Susan. Thank you for sharing in our chalice lighting. As we light our chalice this morning, may its flame shine a light of truth and healing on the wounds of our history. And may that light be a beacon to lead us on the path to justice and wholeness for all.
Reverend Barbara, before you lead us in the unison affirmation, I'm wondering if Aubrey and Natalie can possibly come back, because I just realized that I was on screen instead of y'all. Can y'all come back and maybe use your big preacher voices this time? If that's not a doable thing, that's okay. But I just wondered if you could, because we'd love to see you and not me.
We're ready when you are.
All right. Y'all need to turn your video back on.
Okay. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hand. This is the church of the loving heart.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate that. And Reverend Barbara, if you will lead us in the unison affirmation.
I invite you, if you will, to please say these words along with me. When we're together here in the sanctuary, generally, I would ask you to rise in body or spirit. And we own these words. Here we go. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with one another.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we cry. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive in this great turning. We shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive in this great turning. We shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.
I want to thank Lily Daigle for allowing me to take that picture of her front porch when I visited her while making our Easter deliveries last week. They've just got a beautiful place out there. I want to talk to the kids, or anybody who's been a kid, or to parents and anyone who's ever had a parent, or some important grown-up in your life who took care of you and showed you that they cared about you. I want you to think about that person or those people, if there have been more than one or two. Now think about a time when you hurt yourself. Say you fell and scraped your knee, or you sprained your ankle, or you cut yourself, or maybe you even broke a bone. How did that caring person care for you in that moment? If you cut yourself, did they just slap a Band-Aid on that thing without even looking at it? And maybe even if you fell in the dirt when you cut yourself and the cut's really dirty, did they just say, oh, let's just cover that up and we don't have to look at it and it'll be just fine? I'll bet they didn't do that. I kind of doubt that they would do that. I'll bet that they wanted to see how bad the cut was, that they looked at it really carefully. They probably took the time to clean it up really carefully. Maybe they had to use something like alcohol that stings a little or a lot. But that was just to make sure that it was clean, right? So that it could heal. Or if you broke a bone, they didn't just say, hey, walk it off, you'll be fine. I would bet they took you to the doctor. They probably got you an x-ray. If it turned out to be broken, you probably got a cast and a lot of instructions of how to take care of it while you recovered. And all of these loving efforts by your parents or your caregivers or the doctor, even the ones that may hurt a little or a lot, are to help repair your body and put you on the path to wholeness and healing, right? So our country, this great United States of America, has gone through something like that. We have this gaping wound, this horrible injury in our history called slavery. And for years, many people have preferred to cover it up, to put a Band-Aid on something that's dirty and infected and not to look at it or talk about it, but just keep it out of sight and keep telling the lie that that's over, so it's all better now. And some people have said those of us who would like to tell the truth, who would like to open that, let that wound be exposed to light and air and cleaning and healing, must hate America. But when your mom or your dad cleans that wound and looks at it carefully, they don't do that because they hate you. It's just the opposite. They do it because they love you and they want you to be happy and healthy and whole. And those of us who do what we can to learn and teach the truth about our country's history and keep learning because we don't know what we don't know, we feel the same way, though. We love our country enough to want our country to heal from the wounds of our past that continue to hurt Black families and hurt all of us as a result. We love our country enough to want to hold up those wounds to the light of healing, talk about why they're still hurting all of us, and do what we're called to do to bring about the healing that lasts. And in a little while, that is what our speaker, Ms. Candice, will be talking about today. But for now, we will move on to our meditation, and we thank Ava Kate Peck for being our guest meditation leader today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Susan. Sit comfortably where you are and close your eyes. If you don't want to close your eyes, focus your eyes on something in the room. We will start with a few deep breaths. Place your hand on your stomach, and while you breathe, feel your stomach go in and out like a balloon. Imagine something you have seen or heard that was beautiful. As you breathe in and out, think about how it looked, maybe how it smelled, what it sounded like. Now think about how it made you feel. Imagine something good that has happened. As you breathe in and out, think about that time. How did it feel? What was it like? Did you feel excited? Did you feel calm? And did you feel happy? Try to remember how those feelings felt in your body. I also want to bring our focus back to the pain in our country caused by racism. Imagine George Floyd's family and friends and send them loving kindness as they go through the trial. Imagine people of color who are hurting and scared and angry and send them loving kindness. Think about a world where everybody loved each other. Think of a time when you said or did something that intentionally or unintentionally caused pain to another person. Forgive yourself for this and offer yourself loving kindness. Now, now commit to doing better in the future. Imagine a world without racism. What would that look like? Would everybody be happy? Imagine what you can do to help solve this problem. You may now open your eyes.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
When I breathe in,
When I breathe I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out love.
when I breathe in,
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace.
when I breathe out,
When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
when I
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace.
when I breathe
When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
when I breathe
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace.
when I breathe
When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Thank you so much, Ava Kate, for a meditation today. I know that helped me, and I'm sure it helped others as well. I want to introduce our guest speaker, Candice Battiste. She is the North Louisiana organizer for the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice. She's an alumna of Louisiana State University and earned her Juris Doctorate from Southern University Law Center. When she was there, she served as president of Law Students for Reproductive Justice and was a recipient of the prestigious Marshall Brennan Constitutional Literacy Fellowship. Upon graduation, she helped form the Family Law Unit of Legal Services of North Louisiana. She was the past Shreveport-Bossier field organizer with the Unanimous Jury Coalition, and that was an incredibly successful campaign, as we all know. And she also serves on the Citizen She Board of Directors, the ACLU Louisiana Board of Directors, board of the Shreveport Downtown Development Authority, and she was selected as a United Nations Association delegate. I mean, why don't you just do a little more, So she was the public relations director for the Adrian Perkins for Mayor campaign and assisted in getting over 40,000 people to elect Governor John Bel Edwards in the 2019 gubernatorial campaign. When she is not discussing progressive initiatives that benefit all and working to effect positive change, she is traveling or can be found at one of Louisiana's many food and music festivals. Will you please welcome Candice Battiste?
Thank you all so much for such a warm welcome. I am so excited to be here today. Thank you, Susan, for inviting me again. The first time I was supposed to do this, it was postponed to me working on water distribution efforts after the winter storm. I will go ahead and just jump right into it, and I'll start off this discussion with a quote. By our unpaid labor and suffering, we have earned the right to the soil many times over and over, and now we are determined to have it. Anonymous, 1861. I'd like to give credit to Ta-Nehisi Coates, Janila Nasheed with Teen Vogue, and Dr. Jared Bell with the United Nations Human Rights Council, whose passages I will be referencing today. By a Merriam-Webster definition, reparations are actions taken to make amends, offering atonement, or giving satisfaction for a wrong or injury. And although it's been thrust into the spotlight under the discussion of reparations for African descendants, it's not a new concept. Historically, various groups have received reparations, including payments made to Holocaust survivors and Japanese Americans after their forced captivity in internment camps. In these cases, reparations have been direct financial payments, which is how they're typically framed for descendants of enslaved Africans in the United States. So where did the idea of reparations come from? On January 12th, 1865, Union General William T. Sherman and Abraham Lincoln's Secretary of War, Edwin Stanton, met with a group of Black leaders in Savannah, Georgia, to discuss what they wanted for their people. Reverend Garrison Frazier spoke on behalf of the group when he said, Black people wanted to be free from ownership of white men, to be educated, and to own land. 4 days later, on January 16th, 1865, Sherman called for the redistribution of land that had been confiscated from Southern slave owners to newly freed slaves with his issue of Field Order Number 15. According to that order, 400,000 acres of land from Charleston, South Carolina to Florida's St. John River was to be divided into 40-acre plots for the freed slaves. And although it wasn't in the order originally, he later authorized the Army to loan mules to the new landowners. And that's where the famous phrase 40 acres and a mule comes from. Sherman's order was definitely more of a practical implementation than a political one. And yes, it punished the Confederate landowners for their role in starting the Civil War and gave Black people what Frazier and other leaders said that they wanted. But it also solved the issue of what to do with the freedmen who had escaped slavery or served in the Union Army during the war by giving them somewhere in the South to return to. However, after Lincoln's assassination in 1865, Andrew Johnson signed a proclamation that took the land back from the Black people it was promised to, and it gave it to the slaveholders who had owned it before. So the promise of 40 acres and a mule was never delivered upon, and leaving Black people with nothing to start their newly liberated lives. Other efforts and arguments have been made in the 1890s. An ex-slave pension movement spearheaded by a former slave, Callie House, gained traction. But that bill that emerged in 1890 and was modeled on Civil War veterans' pensions couldn't overcome the opposition from federal agencies like the Bureau of Pensions. In his 1969 Black Manifesto, James Forman, an activist affiliated with the Black Economic Development Conference, demanded $500 million be used towards the creation of several social services. Of course, that also did not come to pass. In June of 2020, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, at a special debate on racism and police brutality in the United States, noted that countries must confront the legacy of slavery and colonialism and make amends for centuries of violence and discrimination through reparations. In the United States, the concept of reparations for slavery and other racialized atrocities is absolutely controversial. It seems everyone has an opinion, regardless of race or political leaning. And the topic, as I've come to find it, is divisive even among my friends. Many Black Americans do believe we are still owed, not only for the suffering of our forefathers and our unpaid contributions to this country, but the continued racial justice that exists both socially and economically, racial injustice. While many white Americans, on the other hand, believe that institutions like slavery and segregation are a part of a bygone era that they had nothing to do with, bear no responsibility for, and therefore don't see the need for reparations. Having been enslaved for 250 years, Black people were not left to their own devices after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. They were terrorized. In the Deep South, the second slavery ruled. In the North, legislators, mayors, civic associations, banks, and citizens all colluded to pin Black people into ghettos where they were overcrowded, overcharged, and undereducated. Businesses discriminated against them, awarding them the worst jobs with the worst wages. Police brutalized them in the streets, and the notion that Black lives, Black bodies, and Black wealth were rightful targets remained deeply rooted in broader society. We have only half stepped away from our long century despoilment, promising never again, but we are still haunted. It's as though we have run up a credit card bill and, having pledged to charge no more, remain confused that the balance hasn't disappeared. The effects of that balance, with the interest accruing daily, is all around us. The key aim of the reparations mechanism is to help those who have suffered loss heal and begin to move forward with their lives. Reparations is atonement for what happened to my great-great-grandparents and their descendants. The horrors of slavery didn't end, again, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. The ripple effects of trauma, pain, poverty, marginalization, exclusion have been passed from generation to generation. I will never forget the stories my grandparents told me of growing up under Jim Crowism, or the plight that their great-grandparents faced as slaves on the Stockwell plantation right across the bridge in Bossier Parish. It was my grandmother who used to remind me that Jim Crow was still alive and kicking, and redressing the wrongs done to my ancestors means that their story counts, their suffering is relevant, and more importantly, the impact of the past on their descendants, myself, matters too. In bringing it to more modern times, conversations about defunding police departments and removing symbols to Confederate era leaders is taking place across the country. The topics of reparations for past wrongs such as slavery and Jim Crow era segregation have naturally also come to light. These realities of past injustices that remain unaddressed and still have impacts today are the heart of many social and economic justice issues for the Black community. In 2001, the Associated Press published a 3-part investigation into the theft of Black-owned land stretching back to the antebellum period. The series documented some 406 victims and 24,000 acres of land valued at tens of millions of dollars. The land was taken through means ranging from legal chicanery to terrorism. Some of the land taken from Black families have become a country club in Virginia. It's reported by the Associated Press, as well as oil fields in Mississippi and a baseball spring training facility in Florida. The difficult dilemmas about reparations in any context then are How do we decide how much suffering is worth? How do we put a dollar amount on mass atrocities? Who should receive compensation and who shouldn't? When we consider repairing historical wrongs with long-lasting effects, the reverberation of these questions is even more powerful. It posits objective reality on a subjective experience, and frequently the haves miscalculate the suffering of the have-nots. Reparations isn't just about righting the wrongs of the past, it's an acknowledgement that horrific things happen, which disadvantaged whole communities. Acknowledgement is a part of the healing process, not only for the Black community, but also for the whole country. Drawing on those difficult questions I raised earlier, what might reparations look like for Black Americans? This is a question I found subject to be in fierce debate, even amongst those of us in the Black community. I know many in the Black community think that reparations should be material in the form of a large financial payout to them as individuals and their families. However, personally, I believe the best course of reparations for the Black community is a mix of material and symbolic reparations. William Darity Jr., who's a leading scholar on the topic of reparations at Duke University, he also agrees that a portfolio of reparations, meaning any reparations instituted, should accomplish 3 ends: acknowledgement, restitution, and closure. Darity also believes that reparations should include the allocation of funds for education, subsidized healthcare, and the building of assets for Black Americans, in addition to ensuring that the full scope of slavery is taught through educational programs. In terms of symbolic reparations, slavery and other atrocities should be officially hallmarked by federal holidays. Those who fought against slavery and segregation should be celebrated through symbols of national importance. Inclusion and memorialization of slavery and racial atrocities that followed it isn't just a Black story, it's an American story, and it should be included and remembered. One other key aspect that's not often discussed is ancestry DNA testing. During the transatlantic slave trade, Blacks were cut off from their historical roots, language, culture, and any kind of connection to the past. Many families were torn apart, sold like chattel, further removing people from their familial ties and history. Helping individuals recover these lost roots is another essential aspect of healing the entire community who had their identity and connection to the past wiped away. A question that commonly comes up is, what would reparations cost? And that depends a lot on what it actually looks like. According to a 2018 census report, 43.2 million United States citizens identify as African American or Black. Professor Darity, in an NBC News op-ed, said that 40 acres promised to the 4 million freedmen would come out to about 40 million acres. And according to Darity, the current value of that size of land is about $1.5 to $2 trillion. That amount, divided by approximately 35 million eligible Black Americans, equals to about $40,000 to $60,000 per person. So where are we now when it comes to reparations? The Juneteenth of 2019, the House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties debated a bill that would set up a committee to show how the United States could implement reparations to Black Americans. That bill, called H.R. 40, which was a nod with the 40 referencing the 40 acres and a mule, was first introduced in 1989 by Representative John Conyers, a Democratic representative from Michigan. But thanks to the renewed interest, the topic has finally made its way to the debate stage. To wrap up, the first ship of African slaves arrived in America 400 years ago, August 1619. Then in 1865, 246 years later, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, Black families owned 0.5%. That's half of 1% of all wealth in America. Change takes more than time. It takes effort, specifically from the government that has failed us. From 1619 to now, the lack of value with regards to African descendants has been made clear. the impact of slavery through the systems put into place by the same white men who have either directly or indirectly profited off of the institution of slavery has persisted for centuries. So until America comes to terms with its consistent dismissal and disregard for Black lives, takes the steps to show it has been sincere in its wrongdoing, admission of wrongdoing with regards to slavery, and begins working towards the distribution of reparations for African Americans, the present day and future suffering of Black Americans will continue to be a result of what Mitch McConnell said, something that happened 150 years ago. That something is at the root of what is happening today. That something is what every white leader from Andrew Johnson to the time of Mitch McConnell is responsible for and should be held accountable for. Simply stated, and in conclusion, it's time for America to pay its debt. And we don't need just allies who agree. We need co-conspirators who are willing to do the work of pushing legislation at every level, municipal, state, and federal, which gives Black Americans the level playing field that we were only deemed good enough to toil, but never to profit from. We've waited long enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candice. That was wonderful. We really, and we hope to be co-conspirators. Thank you. We will hear from the choir now. Barbara wrote this song actually as kind of a declaration that of our co-conspiracy. So we'll hear "I Am Ready" now.
One, two, three, four.
I am ready to face the music. I am ready to face the music. I
As we extinguish this chalice, if I can find the extinguisher, maybe not, may we carry within each of us the light of truth, the warmth of love and compassion, and the energy for the work that is ours to do. And as Miss Susan leads our benediction, I will find the snuffer so that you carry this light.
The light is just there for us to carry, so that's good. It's the joy of being alive. And thanks again to Candice and to Ava Kate today for making this such a wonderful experience to be part of. There are those who say that those of us who call for an honest reckoning with our nation's history want to erase history, or worse, that we hate America. But my hope is that we reveal that wound of history to the light and air of healing. We don't hate America at all. On the contrary, we love America enough to want to see her live into the lofty aspirations of her founding documents, far beyond the limited imaginations of their authors. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Ashe. Thank you for being with us today.
Jesus spoke, entreating them to live together in a great circle of love. And when his followers asked him then who should be included, Jesus said, let everybody in, everybody in, everybody into the circle, circle, everybody, 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 everybody into the circle, circle. Oligarchs and tyrants try to keep some in and everyone else outside, till revolution sweeps across the land and the people all stand and the common folk cry, let everybody in, everybody in, everybody into the circle, circle, everybody, 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 everybody into the circle, circle. Sometimes a circle is a class or creed. Sometimes a circle is made of only men. Until Susan B. Anthony says, what about me? Let me in, let everybody in, everybody in, everybody into the circle, circle, everybody, 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 everybody into the circle, circle. Sometimes a circle is a privileged thing, excluding people for the color of their skin, until the voice of Martin Luther King says, let freedom ring, let them in, let everybody in, everybody in, everybody into the circle, circle, everybody, 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 everybody into the circle, circle. Gay and straight, rich and poor, whole and broken, open up that door. The more we are, the greater we become. After all, we all are one. Bring in the people, but don't stop there. Bring in the fish in the sea and the birds in the air. Bring in the rivers wide and the mountains tall. We go together, not at all. Let everybody in, everybody in, everybody into the circle, circle, everybody, 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 everybody into the circle, circle, everybody, everybody, everybody into the circle, circle.